This video is going to run you through some basic information on how to annotate sources, or basically what you do with your information when you actually have it. So now that you've started to collect together printouts, articles, websites, pamphlets, newspaper articles, anything else that you've come across that you've started to collect into your folio, what do you then need to do with it? So, you think you've found a good source. First thing to consider is, how do you know it's a good source? What checks have you done on the website or on the book, etc. that you might be finding? Although for this I'm going to focus on a website. Before you even get around to reading the article or the information in a great deal of depth and using a lot of time, there's a few checks that you can do of a website in particular to see whether or not you're wasting your time with it. In order to do this, I'm going to go back and focus on my shark culling topic. So that's the topic that I'm using again with this one. So I started with a Google search and I had a look at the results. So my search for the shark culling topic, this is the search results that were returned. Here's an article that I think could be interesting. What did I base that decision upon? It's from a website called WA Today. Now that's a major news service in Western Australia. I know that that's where this shark debate is happening. The article is from February 2014, which means that at the time of this it was relatively up to date. The title makes me think that the author is going to be examining the debate from a variety of angles. So hypocrisy in shark kill debate makes me think that there's going to be more than one point of view that's going to be covered in there. So it could be an interesting article. So let's have a look at it. So here's the article that I've found. When I clicked on it, this is what came up. It's time to do a couple of checks before I even get around to spending a bit of time reading or scanning through the information on the article. One of the things that I'm going to do is apply what's called the CRAPP Test. Now the CRAPP Test relates to the acronym for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy and purpose. And they're all things to consider when you're looking at any type of resource. How current is it? How relevant is it? What is the authority of the author? How accurate is the information? And what's their purpose in writing it? So let's have a look at that website. We know that it's current. It's from February 2014. We know that it's relevant. Yep, because that's my topic that I'm doing for my research project. The authority, I'll need to check the author and her claims, but it is written by a journalist. And supposedly journalists check their facts and sources, so we'll give it a tick for that one. Accuracy, see above. Purpose, again, as it is a news site, presumably the purpose of the article is to inform me. It's not to sell me anything or get me to sign up to their site or anything like that. So far it's all good. Now, if we have a look at the article, I realise that it's too small for you to read here, but that's not the purpose of what we're doing at the moment. So let's have a look at the author. She's up here. Let's see what we can find about her. Her name is Aleisha Orr. If I check the WA Today website for details first, there's a tab on the website that says About Us. And I'll see what I can get from that one. Having these contact details is also helpful in making me like the credibility and reliability of the page. It means that I can check and verify details. So that's another tick for the article in itself as well. The About Us tab provides details of the editorial team, so the editors, a few of the reporters, etc. But Aleisha Orr isn't listed here. So what are my options? I'm going to try Google next. If I go into Google, it's looking good. Google Predictor is already telling me that there is a journalist by the name of Aleisha Orr, that she has a Twitter account, and that I can get contact details. So it doesn't look like she's hiding anything, does it? Cool. So now that I have here our details that I'm able to verify about the author, so clicking on her LinkedIn page, what I've got over here is some information about her. She's a freelance writer, so this means that she's not paid to write a particular story. Rather, she writes and then sells her work to the press, so again, it helps to establish her credibility. There doesn't seem to be any obvious bias that I need to be aware of. She's not employed by the Save the Shark Foundation or any other such organisation that I can determine, so I'm going to give her a pass for credibility. Next, it's time to read the article, and here's a small sample of the text. So a few of the main points there. What can I tell from this? what do I do with it now? Well, it's time to start actually analysing the information. First thing I'm going to do is to highlight sections that I think are important and to be able to explain why. I'm going to look for facts that I can check, and I'm going to find possible quotes that might be able to be used in my outcome and or to answer any of those initial questions that I developed, like on my Lotus diagram, for example. Okay? So having a look up here, I've got a few things like last weekend thousands of people gathered in locations in New South Wales and hundreds in Queensland, both states that also have shark programs that result in the death of sea creatures. Now there's a fact that I can check. I can go and do some Google searching to find out about the programs in both New South Wales and Queensland and see what they do. Interesting that people from those locations protested against the WA shark kill policy when both of their governments have similar type policies. So that's one thing that I can check. It's a section that I think might be important, so I'd use my highlighter and highlight that as well. I'm going to find possible quotes that may be able to be used in my outcome. Surfing website editor Stuart Nettle said it was hypocritical for those people to be making so much noise about sharks being killed in WA when marine life is also killed as a result of strategies put in place to reduce shark attacks where they live. So there's a possible quote that I might be able to use as well. So I've read the article. I'm then going to reread it to make sure that I actually understand what it's talking about, and I'm going to do that this time with a highlighter in hand and with some note paper and a pen so that I can make notes as I go. I'm going to highlight what I think are the most important points in the article, and I've just shown you what I think were two from that little grab that I had on the screen. How do they relate to your question, and does it help you to answer your question? I'm going to highlight any terminology that might need to be checked. So there was something about a, actually let's go back and see if I can find it. There was something up here about, they plan to protest shark nears, trap and kill numerous sharks and other marine life. Programs that result in the death of sea creatures. Well, what are those programs? I suppose I need to check out, don't I? What is a shark kill zone? That might be some terminology that needs to be checked. Doesn't look like there's too much else in there that would need to be checked at the moment. But as I'm reading through the article, I might find other things that do need checking. Is there anything there that you need to fact check? Well, we've already said that we need to check on the Western Australian and New South Wales government's programs. What questions does the article raise? Well, one of the questions is what those programs are that are run interstate and how do they differ from the Western Australian one? And I suppose why is the Western Australian program getting so much media attention when the others don't? Make notes as you read. If it's a magazine or newspaper article, make copies of it first. Keep a clean copy so that you can scan it in and use it as a clean copy if you need to, but also make notes over top of your article as you're going. So for example, I've got author checks done, I've checked the date for relevance and timeliness, I've done my CRAPP test, it's passed in all areas. I've got evidence of national and international attention. Twitter Stop the Cull is trending worldwide, so it's telling me that Western Australia has gained national and international attention. Evidence of that I have checked and that I've found is the Twitter trending. On Wednesday, the South African protesters plan to voice their opposition. Can I verify this? I can check media coverage from the date in question to see what actually happened. While protesters do not support the killing of sharks in WA, blah, blah, blah. Again, am I able to verify this? Do they cull sharks in South Africa? I can Google search that. Talks about numerous marine life. What are those numerous marine life? Why are they killed? How are they killed? Etc. Last weekend, thousands of people gathered in locations. Again, I can check the media coverage and I can look for information regarding whether or not there were thousands of people and what happens in Queensland and New South Wales. Surfing website editor Stuart Nettle, who is this and why should I listen to him? Is his surfing website one that's actually highly renowned and looked to by thousands of people, or is it someone who's just got his own little blog happening in his backyard shed and has 6 followers? So you need to do some of those kinds of checks for credibility. Usefulness, limitations, purpose and appropriateness. When writing up your annotations, keep these things in mind. Use them as your headings or your subheadings on your copies of your article or your clean copies. Respond to them in your annotations. What key findings or subtopics or focus question does it help you to answer? If you still haven't worked out what those focus questions or key findings and things are, this is where things begin to get tricky, because you need to keep up to date. You'll need to keep notes. You'll need to keep records of where you're going, and that will help you then define some of those focus questions. Headings and things to consider for your annotations, things like usefulness, limitations, purpose, and appropriateness, but also don't discount credibility, authority, author credentials, key finding links, relevance, comparison, analysis, key ideas, questions that I have, further research that I need to do. This isn't an exhaustive list. There are numerous other things that you could use, but please do use headings. It makes the job of the moderators much easier to see what you have done when it comes to examining your sources. Presenting an annotated page. There are many ways that you can present the page. I can use Word and Notes to write my annotations. I can use text boxes inserted into a document. I can handwrite, though I'd only do this for articles, etc., that won't make my final folio. In the folio, everything should be electronic, because you can fit more on the page and there are no messy handwriting issues to contend with. So a final annotated page may look something like, and I'll show you one in a moment. Now it's time for you to do some work. Choose your article, get busy. So here's a article that has been scanned in. Here's all of the boxes that are around it. Now these ones over here in the comments are my annotations of this page. What you would be submitting is this section here, okay, without the pink boxes down the side. So this is where you make comments about the actual article, and then you let the moderator know that this is about application, this is about research development, this note here is about credibility. Okay. Note that the moderator doesn't have to be able to read the actual article. It's not so much about that. It's your analysis of the article that is important, and that's what's going to get you marks, not an article that's been written by someone else that you might have highlighted a few things and written just a couple of notes on. Okay. It is all of this other stuff on the page here that is far more important. You could make up your own format for a annotated article as well. There's my screen capture. I've got a box down here where I'll put in my information about my author credibility, the searches that I did. I'll write my notes about the usefulness, the limitations, the appropriateness, etc. On the page here. Okay, so you can come up with your own format for this as well. Entirely up to you how you do that. You just need to get started on it. So good luck.